Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Adelina and I make videos about living in my tiny house on wheels and living a more intentional life. This is Sophie, in case you don't know her. She is my big tiny house cat. I am going to apologize in advance if there is any background noise. It's a beautiful sunny day here, which means that people are out doing yard work and everyone wants to mow their lawns. And I have been trying to fit this video in between neighbors mowing lawns. So we may have to stop and restart. But anyways, a few weeks ago when I made the video celebrating 2 years in my tiny house, I went over some of the things that had been a challenge and that I'd had to fix during the 2 years that I've lived in the tiny house. And then I also went over 5 things that I really loved still, that were working really well. And I promised that I would finish that list in the next video, and I didn't, and I apologize. So today, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over 5 more things that have worked really well in the 2 years that I've lived in my tiny house on wheels. Sophie, I don't know why she has to rub up against the tripod. 5 things that have worked really well in the 2 years I've lived in my tiny house, and that I still absolutely love and would do again in a heartbeat. So let's get started with that list. So number 1 on the things that I absolutely love about my tiny house and that has worked really well in the 2 years that I've been here, in particular the 2 winters that I've been here, is my forced air furnace. I have a Dometic RV size forced air furnace, and it is perfect for the tiny house. I've made a whole video on heating options for tiny houses and why I chose the one that I did, and I give more details on this particular furnace. I did do a calculation. You can find websites where you can do a calculation that helps you choose the BTUs for whatever furnace or heating source you're going to use, and that's really important. BTU stands for British Thermal Units. And what you want to do is make sure that whatever you choose, if you're choosing a furnace or any unit, that you have one that will work on the size of your house. The thing that I really love about this furnace is that it is a forced air furnace, which means that it is dry air. And I've said it before, I will say it again, that when you live in a small space, moisture is your worst enemy. It doesn't matter if it's a tiny house on wheels, an RV, a camper van that you've converted, any small space, moisture is your worst enemy. And if you live in a humid climate, it's even more so. So I wanted a source of heat that would be a dry heat, because houses now are built to be so energy efficient and so airtight that they don't actually breathe like older houses used to. And I have spray foam insulation in the tiny house. So it becomes much more important to make sure that you're managing the air quality inside your house as well as the moisture content. Also, it's got a thermostat, which is awesome because I can set it to exactly the temperature I want, unlike wood heat, which is hard to regulate the temperature. And because there are vents in each of the rooms, there's one here, one by the front door, one in the little hallway by my desk there, one in the bathroom, which is really awesome on cold winter days when you get out of the shower, and one in the bedroom. Actually, the one in the bedroom closed most of the winter because I like to sleep in a nice cool room. But having the vents throughout the house allows me to have a nice even heat distribution throughout the house, manage the heat because of the thermostat. Super easy and really efficient. I love it. I would definitely use that type of. Which leads me to number 2, and that is my Lunos HRV air exchange system. As I was mentioning just now, moisture is your biggest enemy in a tiny house, and when you are cooking, showering, breathing, anything in your tiny house, you are releasing moisture into the air. If you have propane appliances, they definitely release moisture into the air. Even the natural gas stove will do that. And so you really want to manage that moisture content, because you do not want mold to be building up inside your tiny house. And the Lunos air exchange system is an HRV system, which means that it's a heat recovery system. There's a ceramic cylinder that the fan unit sits in, and what it does is it's pulling air from the house out, it captures some of that heat, and then when it switches to bringing cool air or fresh air in, it heats up that air just a little bit as it's bringing it in. There's 2 units, one here above my hallway closet and one just above my bed in my bedroom, and they alternate. This one is pulling air in, that one is blowing air out, and then every 60 seconds or so they will reverse, getting a nice fresh air exchange in your house. I have a lot of windows in my tiny house, so in the summer now I have them open and I'm getting a lot of fresh air through here. Not as important as it is for me in the winter, because in the winter I have to have my windows closed, but I especially need to have that air and moisture managed. In the video that I did where I review the system, and I will link that down below, I show the control panel, and there are options in there to either manually sense and manage the moisture level in the air, or for you to just let it automatically do that. And it's a really great system for that, because it makes sure that the moisture level in your house stays at a healthy level. I live in a dry climate, so it's not as important for me in the summer, but if you live in a very humid climate, it will still be super important to you in the summer as well. So I love my air exchange, my Lunos air exchange system. I did have a problem with the fan unit in the bedroom, and Lunos Canada was fantastic. They sent me out a new cylinder and I was able to switch them out myself. It was just, the fan had just gotten a little loud, which is a problem if it's right over your bed, which I wouldn't recommend you do. I wouldn't recommend you put it right over your bed. It could have easily been in the hallway, as long as it's on the opposite side-ish of the house from the other unit. It will work really well. But I really love the Lunos air exchange. I think it's one of those things that should be a non-negotiable in a tiny house, is some sort of an air exchange moisture control system to make sure that you have healthy air and you prevent any kind of moisture buildup, which could lead to mold. Number 3 is my higher washer dryer combo unit. Now, these units are not as common in North America as they are in other parts of the world, though I think they are becoming more common, especially with the movement of smaller spaces, tiny houses, and things like that. But I have a 2 cubic foot ventless washer dryer combo. Now, this unit is perfect for a tiny house because it doesn't need to be vented out. What it has inside it has a heating coil for when it's in its drying cycle, but it also has a condensing unit inside it. And what happens is, as it's drying, the lint gets and washing, but as it's drying, the lint gets caught inside this condensing unit, and then it gets flushed with water and drains out through the water drain, which is awesome. So they're great also if you are doing renovations to a space and you want to put in a washer dryer unit and you don't have the ability to vent it outside, or you don't want to vent it outside. It's 2 cubic foot, so that's not a large unit. Most of them aren't. There are units that are larger than mine, but what I love about this, like I say, is it fits perfectly in my bathroom under my sink. So it's tucked away, very compact and very efficient. It doesn't do a large load. In fact, it washes a load that's bigger than it dries. But that's okay, because as I say in my video where I review the higher washer dryer combo unit, and I will link that down below, I don't mind because I hang most of my clothes up to dry anyways. I just find that that's less wear and tear on them. It's more energy efficient to just let them hang dry. So I have a drying rack that I set up in my tub and I hang most of my clothes there. If I'm doing a large load of bedding and towels and things like that, I'll just go to the local laundromat. Super easy, super fast, very inexpensive. But having a washer dryer unit inside the tiny house allows me to be self-sufficient. And that was really handy at the beginning of the pandemic when we had our first lockdown. Sorry about the crows outside. they're having a great conversation. Anyways, it allowed me to be self-sufficient and do my laundry in the house. Like I say, they do come in other sizes, but none of them are really large. They certainly are not as big capacity as you get in a freestanding washer and separate dryer units. Yep, my higher washer-dryer combo unit, definitely something I love, have used a lot in the last 2 years and would definitely buy again. Number 4 is my storage shed. If you've seen my full house tour video, you will know that I have a gooseneck trailer, which means that there is space under the gooseneck for a shed. Always made sense to me to use that space for storage, and so what I've done is had it shedded in. There is a subfloor in there. It's sided with the same siding as the skirting and the house, and it holds so much stuff. I have my bike in there, my camping gear, my lawnmower. Had it built in a way that it could be disassembled and taken with me when I moved the tiny house and then reassembled in my new spot. So that's number 4 on my list of my favorite things that have worked really well in the tiny house and that I would definitely do again, is my storage shed that's under the gooseneck. And finally, number 5 is definitely the little cat door that I cut into the loft so that Sophie could get in there. Now, other than there is an opening at the back of my closet to get into the loft. And I did not want Sophie to have to go through my closet to get into the loft, but I wanted to give her a way to get into the loft space because I knew that it would be a great place for her to hang out. If she goes through my closet, first of all, I have to leave my closet door open, which means that she can get in there, and she loves to burrow and make a nest in my closet on all my clothes, and I get enough cat hair on my clothes without her doing that. What I did was I just went to Value Village and I found picture frames, 2 picture frames that were exactly the same and the right size that I wanted, painted them the same color as the wall, cut an opening, and then affixed the picture frame on either side of that opening so it looks nice and finished. And it works really well, and she loves it. And I've got to say that I would recommend that to anybody who has a loft and a pet that they want to be able to get up into the loft. And it's important that Sophie has her little space up there. That is the last 5 on that list of things that I absolutely love about the tiny house, that have worked really well in the tiny house, and that I would definitely do again if I was building another tiny house. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new, I just want to say hello and thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing and giving it a thumbs up. And I will see you next week. I hate this remote, so